I'm Louise Beldon, born and raised in San Antonio, and always had a passion for, I guess, volunteering to help in the medical field has been one of the main areas that I've volunteered over the years. I was chair of the Nursing Advisory Council from 2004 to 2006, some of the early years of the NAC. Marie served afterwards, and then Greg Munster followed Marie. And I think each one of us had a different perspective of what the nursing school and the Nursing Advisory Council could do. And as the nursing school grew, our role grew, and how we could help the nursing school. I was very involved in the Cancer Therapy and Research Center, which is now a part, at that point it was not a part of the UT Health system. It is now a part of the UT Health system. And I was president of the Cancer Center Council, which I think today is called the San Antonio Cancer Council. And through that, I started hearing about the nursing school, and I realized there what the role that nurses played. And at that time, Dr. Francisco Figueroa was president of the school, of the Health Science Center, and he always spoke about the role, how he was a cancer survivor, and the role that nurses played in his life. And then Phyllis Siegel had been involved in the actual development of the Nursing Council, and she asked me if I would join the Nursing Advisory Council, and I agreed to do it. So I think that was about 2001. In the early years when Dean Hawkins left, I was there for a short period of time while she was on. It was really in its infancy. Its job was to try to make the community aware of the nursing school. And Dean Hawkins had done an incredible job in developing a nursing school on this campus. But as we moved on, and we eventually got a development person that her job was the nursing school, and that was Carol Schwartz. And Carol really helped this NAC develop. She saw the ways that we could help. She was a nurse herself, and how we could help raise money for the nursing school, reach out in the community. And I've always said that a purpose of an advisory council like this is to be the eyes and ears in the community. So in 2004, when I became chair, I wanted us to educate our board so that if people in the community asked questions or wanted to know about the nursing school, we could answer them, or we could know where to reach into the community to help the nursing school. And one of the first things we did is we bought a mannequin. $35,000 we spent. We didn't have any money. And this was the first mannequin for the nurses to really work on rather than a human body. And then we started teaching the doctors how to, instead of punching into a person's arm, they were, or an orange, they were actually learning how to give shots in a mannequin. These were all early developments of how the nursing school could help. And I remember we had the nursing school had crank beds, these little beds that you would crank up. They weren't what the nurse students were going to see in a hospital. They were very old, and they weren't the push buttons that now the nurse. So we worked to help get the students some actual real beds that could help them be better students. And I think that these were ways that we could be of help to the nursing school. And along the way, I learned that the nursing shortage wasn't just a shortage of students. I learned that I'm not a nurse, and I learned that really it was a shortage of staff, and we had to help them have a better use of their staff. How could we help them make better students? And I also was very, very involved over the years. I was honored by Avanci as their Mother of the Year, and I got involved in Avanci. And I fell in love with their program, which was helping new time parents, especially those in the housing projects that had no one to help them, learn how to bond with their babies and how to be a better parent. And then I learned that the Avanci had a problem in that they had to have, to meet the federal guidelines, they had to have their parents and their kids vaccinated and so forth, and their parents to understand. And I thought, wow, maybe we could form a clinic for the nurse practitioners to practice that wasn't a hospital environment. One of the problems in a nursing school is to find a place for students to reach out in the community, not just in a hospital, because their real life, whether it's into South Texas or whatever the case may be, is not a hospital environment. So we started a little clinic between Avanci. We raised a little bit of money. We didn't have anything from the university system at that point. And we started a little clinic, and that has really grown. The university bought into it. Avanci has raised money, and it's a true reach out where the nurse practitioners, the nursing students can actually work with families and these babies in the real life environment. And at the same time, they have made a huge impact on these families that had no nursing care and did not know how to take care of their babies. So there's a lot of ways that people in the community, if they get involved, can give ideas, reach out, make relationships for the nursing school that help the nursing school. So there's another thing we did. We established scholarships. We wanted the nursing students, as in Avanci, to keep Avanci mothers that want to go off or in the classroom. It could be just a small scholarship that makes a difference. And so we realized in nursing that there were students that couldn't stay in because they lacked just funds. So we established 3-year programs where people would commit to giving for 3 years and to a student. They would make a 3-year commitment rather than asking them to give $5,000 outright. Will you, or just $5,000, will you give us $5,000 for 3 years, or will you give us $1,000 for 3 years? And we also established, I think, the first $1 million endowment in those years. And Carol was really instrumental in guiding us and helping us do that. So it's a team effort. Carol was wonderful. Carol is a nurse. She knew nursing. I didn't know nursing. We worked together quite closely. She didn't have a development background, but she learned it so fast. And you don't have to have a development background if you care and if you're bright and you have ideas. So this idea on the scholarships, I believe, is Carol's. The working together to develop big endowments, those are Carol's ideas. And she worked at it with passion. She got so good that the university system hired her way into the main development office, but that's okay. She earned it, and but she really was the start of us raising money and really reaching out in the community. She knew how to do it, and we needed we needed somebody to work with. I mean, the deans of the nursing school are wonderful in working with the NAC, but you need a development officer that is our point person. We can't just call the dean when we have an idea. And so she was really instrumental in setting up the committees that we have, the donation, actually reaching out and doing scholarships on our raising money as a NAC, and giving out scholarships. She was instrumental in setting up practically everything that we do today. We have grown and we're doing it a little better, but Carol was the backbone for it, I think. I'm one of those people that believes that everybody's entitled to basic health care. I believe in that. And we can't produce enough health care providers, enough doctors to reach all our little communities, to reach our clinics and so forth. And when I learned that a nurse practitioner can write prescriptions, can run a clinic, I felt, man, this is the way to go in order to make it possible for us to reach out to more people in the community and provide that health care. And if you're a patient in a hospital, your voice to the doctor it's the nurse. She's the one that's been watching you. She's the one that's the liaison. And if she doesn't watch you carefully and realize that there's a problem, then the doctor doesn't know what to do. My husband had recently had an unfortunate outcome in surgery, and he almost bled to death, and it was the nurse in the ICU that realized that something was wrong. And if she hadn't been totally aware, he wouldn't be here today. So this is post my being involved in nursing, but it was a nurse, not that originally, is responsible for getting him back into that operating room. So nurses people don't realize the important role that nurses play. We're a very poor city. I don't care what anybody says. We may be the 7th largest city in the country, but we're still a poor city. And nursing has provided the way out for so many young people to earn a really good living. And over the years since I've been involved, it's become this deal where you work 3 days, 12-hour shifts. All that's new, but it's been ways that people can find a career that enables them to have a family as well. So nursing is on the cutting edge. I think the doctors in the medical community have copied a lot from what the nurses have found out. And I think also when you look at hospice, people dying, the nurses have taught doctors how to be compassionate. They're the ones that relate to the families. Doctors couldn't do it if they weren't nurses. It's plain and simple. I'm old enough to have been through a lot of deans, and we're very blessed. Dr. Breslin has helped us step over that mountain. We're at the top. We're really up there. And she has really made a difference in this school. And I'd like to say from my perspective that we're there. We're really good now. And I think she deserves a lot of the credit, and she has an appreciation for this. She understands the role that a NAC council can help her achieve what she needs to achieve. But all of this wouldn't happen if you didn't have this incredible dean, and I truly believe that. I guess the start of making the NAC council educated as to what the needs were and let them suggest and reach out. When I started, we were so disorganized and we didn't know how to reach out. We have asked members to come on today. It's just built. We've built it up. And in those days, we had to figure out what type of people we needed on the NAC. And we need nurses on the NAC. We need community leaders on the NAC. We need people who've been involved in other medical type organizations. You need all sorts of people. NAC shouldn't be just nurses. It should be a reach out and to represent the community. And we have very active on the NAC nurses who, some of them have retired, but they were very instrumental. But we also have on that NAC people who can raise money and can help the dean reach out. Yeah, it takes money. It's simple. You can't, a nursing school can't survive without some help from the community. I mean, the state can give you a lot of money, but you still have to raise your own money. And I think the NAC helped develop that process. I have no nursing background. Marie has an incredible nursing background, and she was able to do a lot to help along those lines as to how we as volunteers in the community could help guide some of the things that we need in nursing. She was incredible along those lines. Greg Munster comes from a banking background and a business background. Everybody offered something different, but we've grown with it. We haven't lost what we started in the beginning. We've just added to it. And I think that's what's made, the NAC is a wonderful aid to the nursing school, but the nursing school has wanted that, and I think it's a wonderful partnership. And I watch some of the other schools at the UT Health Science Center who do not have an advisory board, very jealous of what the nursing school has, because it's a wonderful asset. Well, I don't think, as I've learned more about nursing, I appreciate nurses even more. I really appreciate staff and the people that teach the nurses, because every single one of them could make more if they went out in the community than they make as a teacher. And I just really admire them for sticking with it, because when you have such a shortage of nurses command a good salary. And yet these teachers that have stayed with it have given up a lot of that, which is meant to, they're raising families and so forth. So they've given up a whole lot to continue to teach nursing. So the faculty, to me, is really very, very precious. And you have to have a dean that inspires them to stay with it. I think that's been so amazing. I have a daughter that's even thought about going into nursing, and she's in her early 50s, and she's still thinking about it. And I have a niece that's going through the whole process now. Her husband passed away, and she's in her late 50s, and she's starting late. She's not here, she's in Colorado, but that's been her passion. And she's almost there. She's almost ready to, she had to retake everything in high school, in college that she had taken in order to do it. But I think will be applying and starting nursing school this summer, so I'm proud of her. But people don't realize it's a hard road. and it takes a very bright individual. I mean, not only are they taking care of the patient, they have to understand all those computers and all of those technical things that nobody gives a nurse credit for. Many, many years ago, the land was given to start a medical center out here, which is your medical school. When our son was born, he's in his mid-50s, there was nothing. This was a big field out here. There was nothing out here. And to think how this health science center and nursing school, dental school, health, these have all grown into such incredible institutions today. And from the perspective of the Medical Foundation, we are really proud of what this nursing school has done and the way it's grown, and hopefully it'll continue to provide nurses that they in the South Texas area that they'll stay, because it's really needed. But you just have no idea how immature this facility was in its early years, and it has grown so fast and so well in a short period of time. Because if you look at the rest of the country, the nursing schools they're 100, 200 years old. We're babies, but we're the best. What more can you ask? I mean, I just think we have such amazing community support. And I think that that's where we should be. What I think that we do well here in San Antonio is being collaborative. And because I've been very involved in the cancer center over the years, before I got involved in the nursing school and to this day. My husband chaired the dental school advisory board. So we've been very involved for years. But what's so beautiful about our community is the way that the nursing school, the cancer center, the dental school, how they all work together. It's all a whole package. And Robin Dillard, who I met long before I got involved in the nursing school, was a nurse at the dental school. And she is extremely involved in the NAC. Her sister is now retired military and teaches at the nursing school. So we have done, to me, an incredible job in this community of trying to help everybody work together. And I don't think we could have gotten where we are today if we didn't do it. That to me is really pretty special to watch. The one thing that I've watched that has really impressed me, and this came under Dean Breslin, is the new programs that are available for nursing students. And to take advantage, she has stepped back, as I watch, and taken advantage of their previous history and education. And this whole fast track program that's available today for people that come, whether it's retired military or whatever it is, they can have a second career in nursing, is phenomenal. It's just, I mean, we're on the cutting edge here of trying to help solve this nursing shortage. And yet at the same time, we're at the top of it. We are creating that top echelon of nurses. But we're not afraid to reach out into these programs that provide the LVNs and the nurses that support what our graduates do. So it's pretty special.
Interesting.
You should have seen our first lab.
What was it like?
The first lab was a tiny teaching room. It was very immature. It just didn't, there was nothing. The nurses had nothing to work with. They had to use their imagination. Now they really learn. I only got involved when we bought that first little mannequin that we were so proud of. But, it was just a doll compared to what you have today. And when we saw the beds that were available for them to use to learn how to eat, just to learn how to fold the sheets on the different types of bed, or how to raise a bed, or there was nothing there for them. They got the beds that were thrown out by the hospital when they bought new ones, and they had to learn on those. And I know it sounds like something minor, but to a nurse it wasn't. When they have a patient that they have to take care of that has an emergency and they can't operate the bed, and it was difficult for them. The school could have gone in many directions, and it struggled for a while, but it caught on, and it's doing great.